MMA Now, powered by Film On TV Network.
I'm David Cannon with Film On TV Network's MMA Now, sponsored by Gustoso Aguardiente Artisanal Rum. Live life with passion, live life with Gustoso. And right now, I'm joined with MMA Now correspondent Brian Shepard and the one, the only Danny Weiss. How you doing today, Danny?
What's going on, Dave? How you doing?
Let's talk a little bit UFC, and let's talk a little bit about you. First things first, UFC 196. You were out of the country. What'd you think about it?
It was hard for me to think anything about it because, unfortunately, in London, in England, it's different to get those fights. It's not like it is out here. You go to everybody's house, you go to bars, and they're playing the fight everywhere. Where I was in the heart of London, so getting like the updates, trying to get out to a bar to have the fight. Like nobody out there really cares about the fight like they do here. Like I was rooting on Diaz. Sorry, McGregor, but. Definitely one of those things where, when you're in England and you're asking people, hey, do you know about the fight? They're like, what fight, mate? And you're like, the fight. So over there, it's harder to get the information. There's also firewalls, so I was trying to get updates. There wasn't as many available updates for me. I was still trying to follow my friends, figure out, oh, wait, what's up with the fight? Oh, second round, tap out, what? And then that's all I really found out. And I didn't get any real info until I came back. I hit you up. You were my main source of information. So. But
you thought McGregor was going to win the fight, and I talked to you about a month before the fight happened, and you felt like McGregor was unstoppable.
I definitely think that McGregor, he talks a lot of shit. I would definitely say he could back it up, but at this point, seeing what happened in that fight, I would say, after watching him tap out, he was a class act. He really said, some really nice things, which I didn't think was going to happen. But certainly, I did think he was going to win going into that fight. You thought differently, which changed my mind. Certainly. Nate style. Also he's two divisions heavier, right? So.
Well, technically one. It's one division.
Technically.
Featherweight to lightweight.
So yeah. I did think that McGregor was definitely going to win that fight.
Did you think he was going to win by knockout?
Yeah, I think that he would probably knock him out. To watch both those guys go at it, it was pretty amazing. When I came back to the States, I got to see it.
So when you were in Ireland, did you talk to anyone who was pro McGregor, knew about McGregor fighting, or? So when I was in Ireland, I would say a majority of the Irish people really stood up for McGregor. They liked his fighting ways. I think they liked his shit talking. But yet at the same time, when I was over there listening to Irish radio and listening to the announcers talk about McGregor and this fight, they really, I feel like they didn't want to be just known as the Fighting Irish. They have a lot of things to offer their country. So to come into this country during a huge fight between an American and an Irishman, and me being an American in their country, it was an interesting eye-opening experience to hear what these people really had to say. So it was pretty cool. They stood on the side of McGregor. They didn't know what Stockton was, nor did they care about Nate Diaz.
And so you were an American going against an American. Do you feel like you're a little bit of a traitor?
In a way. And I wouldn't say that I was I wouldn't say that I was against Diaz. I actually liked Diaz and wanted Diaz to win the fight, just because also he was an underdog in my opinion. At the same time, McGregor just being that foreigner coming into this country, fighting a battle against a stronger guy, a stronger opponent, I did like McGregor going into this fight.
I feel like you have a little bit of a contradiction. Not a little bit, a big contradiction.
It is.
First you said you're pro McGregor, and now you're saying that you wanted Diaz to win. You can't be both.
Okay, I guess the best way to put it is, I like Conor's fighting style, and I like his talking shit. I also like Nate Diaz's talking shit, but I really wanted Diaz to win the fight. I wanted him in the fight, and I'm glad he won. But beforehand, I think that McGregor was going to win. I did think that he was going to win going into that fight.
I don't think you were in the minority there,
Yeah.
So yeah.
Now, Danny Weiss, why are you famous? Like, why are you on MMA Now? Why are you on Film on TV Network? Why do people know you?
Well, for me, I'm a very friendly person, so getting to know a lot of people in LA, a lot of people in Hollywood. Definitely, I have a great personality, I guess, per se.
Let's talk about your brother,
Yeah.
Rob Weiss.
Let's see. Living in the shadow of Rob Weiss is a very difficult shadow to live in. My older brother is the executive producer of Entourage, as well as the show Ballers on HBO.
And a writer on both shows.
Writer on both shows, executive producer for both of them, which was, of course, his claim to fame. He also did numerous other projects, but really, the strong older Weiss, coming up there for you, Robbie. Though I'm on this channel now, you see me. But yeah, definitely, it's a cool brother to have. You know, growing up, somebody that you can look up to and also learn from. You know, you're in the film industry and you're learning from somebody that actually is in the business and teaching you life lessons. It's cool. No nepotism involved whatsoever, just so you know. There is no nepotism.
Can you give us an example of one piece of great advice he's given you that you've seen to be true since you've been working here?
Don't take no shit from no one.
Now, as far as when Rob's claim to fame with Entourage, the #1 show on HBO of all time, Ballers is #1 right now. Did you see the change where he went from not famous to famous, and how did that affect him?
You know, I think Rob has always been famous, so it's kind of hard. It's hard to say like not famous to famous. Rob, I've always known famous Rob, so like I've grown up knowing famous Rob.
Because there's a big age
There's
gap.
a huge age gap. So I'm 25, he's 49. And between us, I mean, there's plenty of years there, but also the life lessons that he has obviously accumulated over years and years compared to me. You know, it's great to have an older brother to look up to, but also have that friend that you can go to if you need something, or you got to ask him, you know, hey, what's going on with this, or you need any kind of advice, he'll give it to you.
Well, enough about your brother. What are you working on?
So I'm working on projects. Right now, I'm working on a project with this guy right here, trying to get this this movie Swackers going, which is awesome.
Well, what do you think about Swackers? You've read the script. I thought whoever wrote it did a great job writing the script. What do you think about the script?
I would have to agree. I think it's great. I mean, I think that.
What is it about?
So basically, these two guys, two young, I would say, I wouldn't say nerds either. They're just two guys kind of down on their luck in ways. They work at a convenience store. Very funny, Spanish kid and a white kid, and pretty much best friends. Yet, you know how two best friends are. They kind of argue with one another, and funny, crazy events happen to them as their day of working in this convenience store occurs, and wilder and wilder events happen. And of course, there is a love interest, and with that love interest comes some great, camaraderie between the guy, the girl. It's kind of like a menage between best friend and love interest. And things will work out hopefully for the two main characters. But it's definitely a great movie. Something that we're looking forward to getting to work on. So.
Now, what's your role in the actual?
I'm hopefully gonna either act in it or just jump on producing with you. But I mean, I'm willing to act in it if people accept me as being a funny human being. Hopefully, I'm funny enough to be in this movie.
Can you just give like one scene, like maybe your favorite scene from the film?
My favorite scene in the film would definitely be. I can't give away the ending. You can't give away the ending. You gotta go, but I would say the ending, of course. Favorite scene would be working in the convenience store when a Jewish rabbi comes in to somewhat attack his two convenience store employees. So.
Okay.
That would be one of my favorite scenes.
I'm looking forward to that scene.
So can you give us an idea of what, and this question could be for both of you, can you give us an idea of your ideal characters for each of your main characters? What kind of actresses are you looking at? You said you could potentially be playing a role as well. as
So, like, who would I compare myself to in an acting sense, or in this film?
So who's attached to the film? Is that what you're saying?
Who could you see as being ideal for the script?
I'll let you take that one. I'll let you
Well,
take that one.
we have a couple people attached to it already, right?
Yes, you go first. You go on this one. I don't want to say too much info.
Well, we have Big Boy. We have Oscar Miranda, a huge Vine, Instagram star. There's a lot of other cameos that
Could potentially happen.
that we're
Slowly working on. Yeah.
We're working on.
Yeah,
So hopefully we'll maybe summertime we'll get that done. But let's jump back into the UFC. There's some big events. The Diaz McGregor rematch. Do you think that should happen? And what are your thoughts on that and the outcome of this one, if it does happen?
Well, I of course want a rematch just because I will be in the country for the next fight, and I will make sure that I'm at the next fight. And I will be rooting on Diaz. I would say, in reality, it probably should happen. It was a big fight. It only lasted 2 rounds. He got
biggest fight of all time, actually.
Yeah, biggest fight of all time.
Pay-per-view wise.
So, for UFC.
UFC, yeah, UFC.
For these two guys, if we were begging the boxing world for a Pacquiao-Mayweather rematch, I would say we definitely need to be begging for another rematch between Diaz and McGregor.
And who wins this fight and how does it happen?
That's a tough one. I would probably look to you for that advice, but I would say the person that I would see winning that fight would still most likely be Diaz.
So there's another big rematch coming up, Cormier and Jones,
Okay.
UFC 197. Give us some thoughts on that. John Jones coming off his suspension, Cormier not really winning the belt because he didn't beat Jones. What do you think is going to happen there?
Honestly, I would definitely go with most likely Daniel Cormier in that one.
Now, we're going to have much more from you in the future, but just can you leave us with like 2 or 3 stories with Rob that stand out? There's one in a nightclub. Can you set up the scenario, the ages, and who was there?
I'll give you a real quick one. I don't know if I should be telling you this. Mom, also, I'm sorry if you're listening to this video, but I hope my mom's not watching MMA TV, though, because, she shouldn't be watching fighting. I would say the craziest thing that has happened, one of the craziest things when I was young, going to an Entourage after party with my older brothers.
How old were you?
I had to be 12 years old without exaggeration. Like, I was 12 or 13. And my brother, of course, he had some pull. So he would sneak me in. They, of course, would sneak me into places. So going to Club Hyde on Sunset, the Hyde on Sunset, was in there. They said to my brother, look, he cannot have 1 sip alcohol. Your brother cannot have 1 sip alcohol, otherwise we're kicking his ass out. And, of course, I didn't drink. And when I was sitting there, I had a couple of girls came over, sat on my lap. And I'm like 13 years old. They're like, oh, my God, you're so cute. And then, of course, I want to play the fat, chubby little, 13-year-old cute kid. But, of course, I was like, holy smoke, look at these chicks. Then comes sitting next to me is Quincy Jones. And I'm sitting there. It's me and Quincy Jones. And it's like the youngest guy in the club and the oldest guy in the club. Hopefully Quincy Jones doesn't, kill me for saying this story. But, we were, 2 pimp-looking dudes. I'm 13. This guy's 78 or 90. I don't know, man. That guy was old. But they were snapping Polaroids and getting all those old school pics, and it was cool. It was a fun story. But Rob got me in there when I was 12 or 13. So it kind of when I became 20, when I turned 21, it was going clubbing was not really a new thing to me. I was already used to it, So I was like, who needs that? I did that when I was 12. So it was cool.
Yeah, it's a cool story.
Fun stuff with my brother.
Well, Danny, I'm looking forward to the future and so much more. Thank you so much
for coming on. Thank you guys for having me on MMA Now. Thank you.